MLB で8年目のシーズンを終えた大谷翔平選手。シーズン MVP を4度受賞し、野球界を超えた伝説の存在となっていますが、大谷翔平選手が NPB から移籍するとき、アメリカメディアはどのように捉えていたのでしょうか。この動画では、大谷翔平選手が2017年にエンゼルスと契約した際のアメリカメディアの反応を日英字幕でご紹介します。
Listen, up to this, Ohtani to the Angels is the big story of the day. That's his tweet. Although Giancarlo Stanton basically officially turned down the Cardinals and the Giants on this day, so they're not going to get his services. For more on these two stories, John Palmarosi is standing by. What's the bigger story, Ohtani to the Angels or Stanton officially saying no to the Cardinals and the Giants?
Greg, it's Ohtani to the Angels because this is the story that can change the way that we look at baseball now and for the future. And to answer John Smoltz's question, I look back at his final box score from his last start with the Fighters. He was batting fourth and pitching. I want to see those box scores from this year where we have the pitcher in the fourth spot in the American League lineup. That's just going to blow everyone's mind. Wow. And one last story about that. We saw Shota Ono, the backup catcher on the Japanese national team. We want to know now what Ohtani's going to be like as a teammate. And in Japanese baseball culture, there's the notion of the senpai. Senpai meaning the senior member. You show respect to your senpai. Ono is a senpai to Ohtani because he's older than him. And there was one game they were playing where they were in the dugout, and Ohtani had a bat to pinch hit. He was not pitching. He had a bat to pinch hit. Ono, the backup catcher, says, Shohei, who do you have that bat to pinch hit for? Who are you going to bat for in this game? And he looks at Shota Ono, again, the senior catcher, and says, look at our lineup, Shota. You are the only one that I will be hitting for, as a joke to his senior member. So again, even though he is a younger player, he has shown the ability to kind of dish it, give it out, which I think is going to be important as he integrates to American baseball.
I love it. You know who's going crazy on this night? Angels fans. And good for you. You're watching right now. You're fired up. Imagine being that 12-year-old fan who, Shohei Ohtani's on your team now. You get a dual threat baseball player in your team. That's pretty cool.
You're hoping it's cool for 6 months, right? And not just the beginning of the season. You want to see the Angels rise into playoff contention. This is one piece that may give them, some momentum to attract some other pieces.
I think it doubly that because it's a bit of an upset. When this process started, there was a lot of Yankee talk, a lot of Ranger talk, a lot of Mariner talk, Cubs, Dodgers. I hear a lot of Angel talk at the beginning of this. And the fact that they got him and the Dodgers were their neighbor.
They beat the Dodgers.
They beat the Dodgers in this. If I was an Angel fan, I'd feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, the Dodgers are one of a few National League teams that are in the mix for Shohei Ohtani, along with the San Diego Padres, the San Francisco Giants, the Chicago Cubs. The Mariners and the Rangers also missed out. Those were the 7 teams that made that first cut for Shohei Ohtani, who is a left-handed swinging hitter and a power pitcher from the right side. This is a statement from his representation this morning after a thorough, detailed process. Shohei Ohtani has decided to sign with the Los Angeles Angels. Shohei is humbled and flattered by all the time and effort that so many teams put into their presentations and sincerely thank them for their professionalism. In the end, he felt a strong connection with the Angels and believed they can help him reach his goals best in Major League Baseball. They also went on to say, while there has been much speculation about what would drive Shohei's decision, what mattered to him most wasn't market size, time zone, or league, but that he felt a true bond with the Angels. He sees this as the best environment to develop and reach the next level and attain his career goals. But as we say that, the Angels sent this out. We are honored Shohei Ohtani has decided to join the Angels organization. We felt a unique connectivity with him throughout the process and are excited he will become an Angel. This is a special time for Angels fans, the Ohtani family, and Nez Balello and the team at CAA. The Angels landing Shohei Ohtani. His representation says it wasn't about market size, wasn't about time zone, wasn't about league, but that's a pretty good market. It's a great time zone for him. It's the league where he can DH. Those 3 things were boxes that were checked here, right?
Yeah, and you get to play with the best player in the world, Mike Trout. What was interesting to me is both of those statements didn't say a ton. They didn't take us inside and explain really why Ohtani picked the Angels. But the CAA statement for Ohtani used the word connection and bond, and the Angel statement used the word connectivity. And just as you're trying to read between the lines, there had to be something either over the years. This is Billy Epler visited Japan quite often as the Yankees assistant general manager to watch Ohtani. He visited as the Angels GM. So either over time, in the questionnaire or in the 2-hour face-to-face, something happened to make him feel this is the best fit right now for me.
And we have to ask ourselves, what is the fit? He really wants to do both, John. So I gotta believe it was the concrete promise from the Angels that felt much more stable than any other team that he is going to be a hitter and a pitcher no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to promise that throughout the year, but they could certainly promise that to start it. I think there's so many moving pieces here, and that's where I would pump the brakes on making sure that we don't think that this guy's just going to step in and not miss a beat on both ends. We already seen how hard it is for rookies, and they're more prepared than ever. And this is not guy coming from high school. He's coming from a professional league over where he dominated. I would just like to see him be more prepared to dominate on the mound. He's an athletic kid with a great arm, good mechanics, totally in balance, can handle his position, and yes, he can hit. What I'm most intrigued to see is, will he hit when he pitches? And most people say, well, absolutely he's going to hit when he pitches. Well, it's an American League, and you lose your DH when he comes out.
Right.
So maybe that's the only time he doesn't hit, and he actually DHs in between his starts, if that seems to be the plan. But I think in this day and age, and it's great talk, and we're talking about it, and it's new. But to be the best player, you have to be in the big leagues, which is the greatest league in the world.
Yeah.
It's difficult to do it on the fly. It's difficult to do it one job by itself, yet alone two jobs in where he is facing competition he has never faced before.
You kind of, I mean, I know you weren't a hitter, but you were the greatest starter-closer combination. No one's ever seen that before.
It was hard.
People said for years no one could do what you did.
But I had 14 years prior to doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like he's coming over. This is his rookie campaign. We have evidences of guys coming over and being successful, learning how to adapt. He admires, I'm sure, you Darvish, and you Darvish struggled in the beginning with the style and the way to get guys out. And then, of course, he went through his injuries. So it's going to be very interesting to see him on the mound.
Yeah. And that's where his 102 miles an hour. We can't wait to see that. I want to go back. Do you mind if we go back to the questionnaire? I want to play a game. He sent out a questionnaire, 7 questions for all the teams to answer. So I'm just going to go every other guy. Give me like 10 to 15 seconds. Give me the answer here. Why the Angels fit each question. Evaluate his talent as a pitcher and as a hitter. Obviously, everybody loves him, so I'm going to skip that. Explain their player development, Joel. Why would the Angels make him smile in that question?
Well, that's a tougher one when put comparison to some of the other teams that are on there that are thought of as having better farm systems than the Angels. Now, that being said, over the last 3 years under Billy Epler, they've gone from maybe 29th or 30th ranked farm system, probably into the middle of the pack someplace.
Right.
So their farm system has gotten better, and again, that probably was something that was sold, hey, just getting you isn't the end game here. We're building towards trying to win a championship with you and Trout.
Player performance philosophies was the next question on the questionnaire. Now, what do you think that's about, John?
That's huge. That would be the most important thing for me if I were him. He has learned a style and is prepared in a different way. That to me says, give me the luxury to keep training a certain way. Give me the opportunity to not just right away throw myself into the American style, the way they train or the way they throw their bullpens. That's what I would read into that, to say, allow me to keep doing my thing, and then if there's any bumps in the road, we can.
And they'll get out of the way and let him do that.
Yeah,
probably.
that
was a promise.
And let me just tell you something. Having lived that experience in the final year of my contract, going somewhere else with different philosophy, it didn't work for me. I was 41, and I suffered until I got to the Cardinals, and they said, "Do it your way." We know it was successful. I know it's a little unorthodox. I think that's part of that right there.
I like that.
He would like to have confidence that he could do it his way.
That's interesting. Major in spring training facilities. Major league spring training facilities. How are they important? Minor league and spring training facilities. Why would the Angels be the answer there?
That's interesting because I go to their spring training facility, and I hate to say this on the air, but I think it's one of the worst. that I go to. I don't really like it, and almost everything in Arizona state-of-the-art is not one of the state-of-the-art places. That being said, he trained the last 2 years with the Nippon Ham Fighters in Peoria, Arizona, because they, until this year, had a working agreement with the Padres. So Arizona spring training in general is something he's familiar with.
Cultural assimilation, I mean, I know it's Anaheim, but it's Los Angeles. So culturally, into the city, how do you see that being the perfect fit, the team being the Angels?
You know, and this is where this young man's different. You would think he could go to a place where there's already that in place, where teammates are of his language and already set in their ways, and he would have a teammate that he could relate to. And this is a little bit different to maybe set up a different way where he creates his own kind of, as you talked about, allure and stardom, because
right.
He's not done anything that's been obvious. And if it was obvious, it would go to the place where he felt more comfortable with teammates who have already circumvented and have been in place there where he could communicate.
Join the Yankees. Masahiro Tanaka's in the same rotation, right?
Yeah, or even the Dodgers, who seem to have the most kind of international flavor. But what I like about him and what I'm reading between the lines is, I'm going to be my own man, and I'm going to make my own mark. Mm-hmm. And he just wanted to make sure that everybody, wherever he went, was going to help him do that.
And we know that Los Angeles is a desirable place to play, Anaheim as well. So the last one's pretty obvious. But in front of that, Joel, vision for how he can integrate into the organization. What do you think he heard from the Angels when it came to that question that he liked?
Well, I think that for that, part of the answer is Trout, right? Because we just were talking about what would make it easier for him. Well, he's coming to a place with the biggest star in the game. You know, like the best player in the game. So the weight of the world doesn't fall on him totally. Right. I mean, he's going to have big pressure because of what his reputation is coming over. But I think it could be sold to him. You have him. Andrelton Simmons has turned himself into quite a player. They re-signed Justin Upton to stay there. Before he got hurt, Garrett Richards looked like he was going to be at least a number 2 starter type guy. This is not you going to a place where you've got to carry us to a championship.
Yeah, and what's cool about it, again, that was the questionnaire. If you look at the AL West, you got the reigning World Series champs, but they didn't make the first cut for Shohei Ohtani services. But the Rangers did, and then you also had the Seattle Mariners. Those two teams wanted Shohei Ohtani. The Angels got him. And now as you look at this team within the AL West, does it change the way you view the Angels?
Well, it necessarily does, but it doesn't from a competitive team until they can make some improvements in the bullpen, right? I mean, that's the one area. I mean, they've got some pieces that need to stay healthy in the starting rotation. If they truly do go to a 6-man rotation, which you know I'm not a fan of, but if that was part of the recruiting process and part of controlling his innings, then so be it.
Yeah.
Probably easier to have 3 or 2 DH spots in between that. But I've never questioned their ability to score if they're healthy, especially if the star power. If Albert Pujols, look, I really believe his ticker and he wants to get closer to what everyone thought was Albert Pujols, right? And if he can, it will correlate to production on the field.
Can he play first base, though? Physically play first base.
So here's one of the most interesting things about this. The Angels, if you think about it, Calhoun, Trout, Upton, have one of the better outfields in baseball. If you were thinking of sitting any of them to play Ohtani, it would probably be Calhoun, but they both hit left-handed. So it would, it isn't like you're going to sit Calhoun versus the lefty and play Ohtani,
Right.
So the question is, he becomes the DH. The guy who's the DH has 4 years at $114 million left on his contract in Pujols. He just drove in 100 runs again in his worst season. But they're just about to de-emphasize him to some degree. Like, he is now a guy who was once the key guy to championship teams is now part of a bandwagon. He's a supplementary player. And if he's not able to play first base, I think he's going to lose a significant amount of at-bats to Ohtani, who's going to DH 50 or 60 times. Now, I'll say this, at the GM meetings, Billy Epler, their GM, did say this was the first offseason in several, that he's healthy and can have a normal workout offseason. I'm waiting over the next few weeks to see that workout video where he's moving great, and maybe he can play 50, 60 games at first base. but I believe he plays at age 38 next year. He's had some significant foot injuries. That is a Mike Scioscia nightmare sitting on a tee where it's opening day and Ohtani isn't the opening day starting pitcher. Who's the DH on opening day?
That's great. It's great. So many questions, but at least we have the answer. Where is Ohtani going to play? It's the Angels. But
ご視聴いただきありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価をお願いします。